Hello, everyone. Hello, it's Alicia Hurt here, your servant leader. I am here to talk about financial wellness. So we had our first session with Bank OZK. They're coming back in July, but I wanted to do something in between. So we have we talked about so much. We talked about so much already. I thank God for that. But I want to continue to have the conversation so that way the adjustments can be made. We have tangible action steps that we can move forward with so that we are well holistically all around. So I will give folks a chance to come on in the room and please share and like this information because you never know who needs it. Share, share, share. If you are watching the replay, thank you so much. Thank you kindly. It is also going to be available on our YouTube channel, and I have placed in the chat the links so that you can keep up with us here at the Women's Wellness Center. We're located at 310 South Scott Street in Bainbridge, Georgia. Phone number 229-939-3240. Website, iseemybaby.org. Email info@iseemybaby.org. Today, I am at my home, but we're going to get it done with comfort, right? So we are mastering budgeting and money management. We're going to have a future-proof finances for the year 2025. So we are almost in that third quarter. We getting into that third quarter-ish, but we can still do it. We can still make an impact and change our habits, our mindset, and our financial outcome, our future. So again, the objective today is to understand and apply budgeting principles to manage money from a biblical balanced approach, to reduce debt, to prepare for the future and reduce financial stress. We're going to connect finances to emotional, physical, spiritual, and relational wellness using the wellness wheel framework. So you may say, well, what is that, Alicia? Well, I'm going to tell you. Here we go. So this is our approach at the Women's Wellness Center at I See My Baby. And we take care of the whole person, the whole individual. Whether you're a woman under the women's services or you're a man under the man's services, listen, we use the life balance self-care wheel. We talk through the physical, which is when, as it relates to finances, is reducing stress, funding health needs. The psychological is creating clarity, reducing anxiety. The emotional aspect is empowering confidence and healing shame, because if you're going through a financial hardship, you're definitely feeling some type of shame. Like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Spiritually, practicing stewardship, enabling giving. So as you practice the stewardship, you're able to give. Personal, you're supporting your purpose, your hobbies, your dreams. And professionally, you're encouraging balance and career vision because you're not stressed about money, finances. You're able to be well-rounded in the wellness area. So let's get started with an icebreaker. I know that we are virtual, but just play along. If you're watching the replay, you can respond in the chat. So if money were no object, just don't worry about the amount. If money wasn't an object, you can get it. What would you create or give back to your community? So if money wasn't an object and you can just do it freely, what would you give back to your community? So money is a tool and it's wise stewardship and it leads to freedom, not fear. But what would you give to the community? It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. You'll get the money. What would you give back to your community? That's the icebreaker. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. You're right in time. So as the answers start coming in via Facebook and also here on Zoom, I'm going to continue on. for the sake of time. So again, we're connecting to the wellness wheel. Remember that money touches every part of our life, every part. The financial part, which is managing money, the emotional part, and going back to the wheel. Remember, we're talking about the wheel, us, the wheel. So the financial part, which is managing the money, the emotional part, which is reducing anxiety and stress, that physical part that you're like, oh my God, why do I feel like this? Provides access to food and care with the money. Spiritual aspects enables giving to your church, your community where you worship and where you have passion about and trusting God. Your social, it affects your relationships. Oh, I don't know if I can go out. I can't afford to do that. We can't hang out. Your occupational influences your career goals, right? Intellectual, it requires learning and wise decisions. So it affects you holistically. So let's talk about it. Okay, again, finances are very important, and here's why. Money is not everything, but it touches everything. We just talked about that. It touches everything. Finances affect every area of life, relationships, your health, your peace of mind, and your future dreams. Because if you don't have it, you can't do what you desire to do. You need money. It enables stability as far as paying your rent, your mortgage, paying for food, your health care that you have. Also the quality of those things, where you live. You may not be able to live in a nicer neighborhood if you can't afford it, vice versa. You're living in a nice neighborhood, but you really can't afford it, so you don't have enough for food or even for your health care. So you got to balance it out. It empowers generosity. You give more. You support your loved ones when you do have it, but then you have to go to the bottom where it talks about stewardship. We'll get into it. But it does empower generosity. It also builds legacy. You're able to save, invest. You have wealth transfer. You can transfer from one generation to the next. Also, it reflects stewardship, how we honor God with our resources. Matthew 6:21, it says, for where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. There your heart will be also. So again, referring back to that wellness wheel alignment, remember it creates freedom. That financial piece creates freedom and it not fear, right? Not fear. Because you may have the money and you're like, oh, I just remember, and you have that scarcity mindset. No, it should create freedom, not fear. Also emotional, it reduces that stress and anxiety. How am I going to pay this bill? Where's the money going to come from? Also spiritually, it aligns with your values, right? And occupationally, the funds, they have purpose and goals, right? They go hand in hand with your job, with what you're doing for a living. Now, here are some common financial hurdles that I'm sure many of us have either gone through, going through, or will go through at one point in time. And it does hold you back. Living paycheck to paycheck. You're saying, all right, I can pay you on Friday. All right, when the money drops in, I can do this, right? It becomes a hurdle. It ties your hands. You're not free. Also high debt or credit dependency. Like, I'm gonna put it on this card when I get paid. I'll put my whole check on that to sum it up, and then I guess what, I'm gonna use the card again. You're being dependent on credit. Also, the lack of financial education or exposure. So you don't know what you don't know. And so it holds you back because it's creating a hardship. Your emotions, your emotional spending tied to stress, trauma, or lack. I am definitely one that'll be like, you know what? Let me go ahead and go online and get this because I am frustrated, I am mad, I am stressed out, but I feel good when I click that button and I get that dress in the mail, right? Emotions. It's not good. Fear of facing the truth about money habits. So it's like, you know what? I know I ain't good, but then when I go and I look and see that negative, OMG, and how it's affecting me, maybe I can't even get the job that I want because they pulled my credit. And it's like, dang, I'd have just paid that bill on time. Also, the generational cycles of poverty and scarcity thinking, like, I got to hold on to this, or I can't do that because, I don't know when my next dollar going to come. And it's passed down from generation to generation to generation. So real talk, I didn't grow up learning about money. That's true. So for me, I remember helping my dad to write the checks out with the bills, write the account numbers on it, but I didn't understand the concept of, okay, how did he make that money? How much does he have left? What is his bills versus what the income that come in? Like, we didn't get that part, but I definitely could write a check. I can definitely put it in the book for you, right? But some people didn't even get that opportunity. So it's, if you don't know, you just doing the best that you can. I make decent money, but still feel broke. All right. So if you make decent money, where's it going? All right. How are we able to say we need to decrease our spending to increase our savings? Budgeting feels restrictive or overwhelming. Don't hold me in a box. Leave me alone. Let me be free. I mean, that is real talk, but we're not going to get where we need to be without changing those habits. And I definitely can tell you, I have said these things. So Hosea 4:6, it says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And I'm sure that's the NIV version or the New Living Translation. But really and truly, if we don't know, we're destroyed. But then when you do know, when you get the information, now guess what? You're accountable because you know better, do better, right? You can't fix what you don't face. So you got to face it head on to change, to do better. Lord, this is the word today, y'all. How to push forward and shift your mindset. It's not just about making more money. It's about managing it differently with faith and vision. You talking about what you talking about, Willis? What you talking about, Alicia? Well, let me tell you. Your old mindset or your current way of thinking is, I'm bad with money. That's just what it is. I'm bad with money. No. We're not going to say that because remember, our words and thoughts have power. I can learn to manage it well. So yeah, you may have some issues with money, but shift that mindset. I can learn to manage it well. You may be saying or have said to yourself, budgeting is limiting. Like, don't limit me. No, we're going to shift that. Budgeting gives me freedom. So that way, if I have the money there, I'm able to do the things that I would like to do. It frees me up. It's not a burden. Debt is normal. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Freedom is possible, okay? Freedom is possible. Don't get stuck about, oh, you're going to always have debt. You're going to have. No. Change your mindset. Freedom is possible. You may be saying, nope, it's too late for me. Looking at my credit, looking at my bank account. Oh my God, it's too late. Nope, shift your mindset. It's never too late to start. Start somewhere. Start somewhere. I remember years ago when my husband and I, we had just got married. He had lost his job. I had lost my job. And we ended up losing a home, going through foreclosure. And I remember trying to find another vehicle because I'm like, I got to look for work. We got to find jobs. Like, we got to live. And I was on the highway in Baltimore, Maryland on Route 40. And I was at this car dealership, and it was a little rinky-dink car dealership. Anybody should be able to get a car from there. And they were like, nope, we ain't give you no car. And I just saw the cars passing by, and I just remember this moment like it was yesterday. And this was years ago. And I was just like, man, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe, like, me? Like, it's too late. No, shift your mindset. It's never too late to start. And here I am. It's never too late to start. And then sometimes life throw you some spoiled, rotten stuff, right? And you got to restart again. That's fine. Restart. It's never too late. Restart. Restart. Do it again. We filed bankruptcy. We changed our way of spending. Of course, we got new jobs, and we were able to progress and elevate. This is how you push forward. You start where you are. I had to start at that moment. Like, all right, what can I do? And I remember we doing research. And somehow we got connected with a company called JD Byrider. And actually, I think they're still in existence. And that's how I was able to get me a vehicle. And I believe I got me a Buick. I think it was a Buick. And like a week into getting that Buick, the darn transmission went out. But it was a godsend because it was a week into getting the vehicle. And so they replaced it. I got a whole new transmission in the vehicle. And they had it set up where every time you got paid, they took their money off the top. But that Buick got me all the way around to when I started working with the Department of Transportation. I was riding that Buick. I was riding it. And I remember one day, a gardener, when I first started, gardener had a rock hit my windshield. I was like, oh my God. I thought it was people didn't like me at the job already, but I said, Lord, not my Buick, right? But you had to start somewhere. I had to start somewhere. And I rode that Buick till I was able to say, all right, now my credit's better and I got something better. but you just have to start where you are. No shame, just truth and action. One step at a time. And you find your why. What is your why? Is it your peace? I just want some peace. I'm just tired of them calling my phone. I just want peace. I'm tired of the letters coming. Is it your kids? Like, ooh, we need clothes for them. We need to make sure they have food, right? What is it? Is your purpose in life, right? Is it your legacy that you're leaving? You like, no, I just can't leave them with a bill and a GoFundMe. I need to leave them with something. Even if it's a small amount just to bury me, like I need to leave some type of legacy. Find your why to shift your mindset and renew your mind daily. It is daily. Anything that you're going through, whether it's your dieting, whether it's grief, anything that you're going through, it's a daily reinforcement. And that is why we always talk about the power of devotion, spending time with God to really realign, to kickstart positiveness and to have faith, to have strategy and also to breakthrough, because that's what it all equals to. It equals to your breakthrough. But your mindset has to be in the right place. You have to be in the right frame of mind in order to tackle these things, especially as a topic such as finances. It's delicate, it's crucial. Again, like we talked about in the beginning, it touches every area and aspect of our lives. In Romans 12:2, it breaks it down and said, let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Changing the way you think. It is very powerful. We talk about that with infertility, how you have to manifest, envision, right? And believe that baby. Call that baby to your womb. Like, it's going to happen in Jesus' name. Like, the doctors are going to find out what's wrong with me, right? Like, I am going to have a breakthrough. I'm going to feel that baby kick. It's the same with your finances. I am going to have a breakthrough. My account will not be negative every time that I get paid. I will be able to balance my books, balance my chart of accounts. I will be able to say no to the spending that I don't need and I want. I will be able to be more disciplined and say, I will eat out only once or twice a week instead of every day of the week. I will pack my lunch, right? Just start with the small things. Start where you are, but have that mindset of positiveness, of moving forward little by little. Now, are we going to make mistakes? Yes. Are things going to happen? Yes. But just keep a positive mindset and put the action behind it. So what is budgeting and why it matters? So a budget is a monthly financial plan that helps allocate your money towards your priorities, and it prevents debt and promoting peace of mind. So point blank, if you make $500 a month, just for the sake of my simple math, you know your car note is $100, you know your rent is $200, then what's left over, right? $200. All right, what else is left? That's a budget. That's your plan. That's what you're trying to figure out. Now, if you want to get more complex and start talking about savings, investment, things of that nature, then you say, okay, maybe I want to put up 30% of what I make. Okay, then you do the math, $500 a month, take out the 30%, and then the rest that you have left over is for you. All right. Now, if you're one that you're a faithful giver, as the word tells you to be, 10% off the top. All right. I make $500, so let me just scrape that 10% off, because that is going to the Lord, and then the rest is for me. It's a plan. It's your plan. Everybody's plan is different. Everybody has different resources. Everybody has different ways that you're paid. Maybe you're paid through commissions. Maybe you're paid through investments. Maybe you have a 9-to-5 and every 2 weeks or every week, this is how much I'm going to make. It is completely up to you how you develop and craft it, but it helps to decrease your stress. It helps you to ensure that the money doesn't run out as soon as you get it, or the bill collector ain't sitting there in your account waiting, that you're not paying late fees, because this is the date I get paid. And this is how I need to set it up. Years ago, I worked in the banking system over 10 years. And I remember one of my colleagues, we're good friends to this day. She would say, set up bill pay. I'm like, set no bill pay up. I don't want nobody. But when you set it up, it's discipline. It is really showing discipline. And it's saying, nope, I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to pay what I need to pay on time. I'm not going to do anything extra, right? Balancing your check. But we don't do that no more. People like, what? A check? How you do that? Balancing it. Yep, it is a way to really manage your money and not letting your money manage you. That's a word. Proverbs 21:5, it says, the plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. So slow it down. Slow it down. I'd much rather you say, I get paid on Friday, but I'm going to pay my bills, say that coming Tuesday or Wednesday. Give it a chance to clear. Get a plan together, write it down. If you're not one to say, oh God, Alicia, every month I can't do, that's fine. I remember when my mom was going through her transition and we had to get through what are her obligations, what bills are going out, what's coming in. I bought a whiteboard, smaller whiteboard. I'm not doing that. I said, let me tell you something. If I'm helping, daddy's helping, we have to figure out when things are paid, how much they are, in comparison to what you get in the bank. And she was used to working as a nurse. She would do overtime and all these different things. She would her pay was very different. But then when you go on to a fixed income where you're getting disability, it changes things. And so you have to be strategic in your budgeting. You have to. And we were right on that whiteboard. Then I had even little check marks. And we didn't have to use it for a long time, but it really got us in the swing of things to say, all right, this needs to be paid. This is how much it is. And then we send this off. And how is this paid? Electronically? Is it through the mail? Do we call in? You know, being very, very strategic to ensure that you all have a peace of mind when you're paying your obligations. And everybody want to have fun. You want to have some free money. Well, you got to figure out how much that is. So you can't have fun and then talk about bills later. It doesn't go that way. So there are benefits of budgeting. Again, it reduces your stress. It helps you spiritually with your generosity and giving. It enables stable housing, food, and health care. That's your physical need on that wellness wheel. Also, it provides clear decision-making for you, your intellectual being. You have a peace of mind. All right, so here we go. We have our first scenario to talk through, and this will help us to drive the point home as we talk about budgeting. And I would say I am no longer a banker. I am no longer in banking. However, we have very strong relationships with our banks here in Bainbridge, Georgia, also virtual, like, you know, the bigger banks as well. So if you are interested in sitting with a personal banker, hearing more information on how you can come up with a plan on your own, you can reach out to us and we can connect you to our partners. So Tasha, she overspends. So her situation is she earns $2,800 a month and she overdrafts every month due to forgotten expenses. So what's going wrong? So she doesn't have a budget. She doesn't have an emergency fund. And she is emotionally just spending. She's just spending. This is how I feel and this is what I'm doing. So the action steps for her would be to list all sources of income and fixed expenses. Then she needs to track every dollar for 30 days so that she sees what comes in and goes out. And then use a budgeting app. So one budgeting app could be Mint or Every Dollar. And then with that, she wants to set a weekly money date to review her spending. And this will really help her understand how she is spending her money, where it's going. And she starts an $100 emergency fund for her first check. Now, you may say, I can't afford $100. That's fine. Start with 5, start with 20, but start somewhere, because let me tell you, emergencies will definitely happen. So you have to prepare for them. And then again, our wellness wheel connections. You see the 4 buckets here that we're honing in on. She definitely has some anxiety because she missed some bills, right? And then her intellectual, she's learning new financial tools. And her spiritual part, she's honoring God with her money. Her financial part is that she's establishing control and clarity. Good job, Tasha. So remember, when you're creating a 2025 ready budget, you want to have these categories. You want to incorporate your 10%, like I said, off the top, your tithing and giving. Also your needs, which is your rent, your utilities, your food, those things you got to pay. So that's generally about 50%. Hopefully you can get it to a little less. Your wants. Everybody has wants and needs and desires. You want to go eat out. You want to go shop. You want to have entertainment. So that's about roughly 30%. And then the savings and your debt repayment. And actually, I don't think both of those need to go together. Honestly, your savings need to be your savings need to be separate, but I'm taking debt repayment as in addition to. So you have your needs with your debts and everything, but in addition to. And really, if you want to press the envelope and you're like, Alicia, I need to save a lot more, I need to be more aggressive, then maybe you flip that and say your wants could only be that 10 to 20 and your savings is that 30%, because typically it should be 30%. So it's completely up to you. So Luke 14:28, it says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost, right? Sit down. You're not just going to say, all right, let's put this thing together. No, sit down, right? Your budgeting, it will equal counting the cost to build your life. What do I need? These are my goals and my aspirations. This is how much I make. Here are my needs. These are non-negotiables. Every month I have to pay this. Where's my wiggle room? Right? I want to be honor God. I want to ensure that I give. So 60% I already know is already accounted for. What can I do with that 40%? So here are some scenarios. Another scenario, Carlos. So Carlos wants a car. He really wants a car. Carlos earns about $3,000 a month. He wants to buy a $6,000 car by the end of the year. So he has goals, right? And he said he does not want to spend over $500 a month on even eating out and online shopping. Well, he spends that. I'm sorry. He spends that. Jesus, Carlos. Okay, you spent $500 eating out and online shopping. And so now we have to figure out for Carlos, how are we going to help him so that he can get this car by the end of the year? So the first action step would be, okay, we know his goal is 6,000. He needs to save it, and he only has 10 months left, right? So that means at $600 a month, essentially, he has to save in order to get the car that he wants. So what we need to do is first cut 300 from your wants. Cut it out, and then add some type of work. Add some type of work, Carlos. Some type of freelance work, maybe doing something manually or online. Find something that you can do that will add an extra $200 a month in your pocket. And then use an automatic savings deposit so that you have a separate account. That money automatically goes into that account. You don't see it. And in 10 months, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have your money. You're going to have to pack some lunch, right? And cut out all that eating out for a little bit. Maybe, like I said, decrease it from all week to maybe once a week. And limit your purchases on Amazon. Ouch. For some people, it's Temu. Some people, it's all the different organizations, right? eBay. Maybe you're a gamer, right? Cut it out. So that way you can have what you desire. And for Carlos' situation, when we look at the wellness wheel, it's occupational. So setting career goals, right? Setting income career goals. Physical, eating healthier at home. You probably lose a few pounds through this process. Financial, you're having smart savings goals, right? So you are able to do it automatically, because maybe you're not going to put that money over there, but if it's done automatically, it's like, all right, just leave it there. Also, you're learning, your intellectual is increasing, you're applying critical thinking in order to get that car. Remember, managing debt and daily finances, it helps to eliminate your debt. It does. Debt is one of the main barriers to financial peace. So without a clear plan, debt affects mental health, spiritual focus, and long-term wealth building. I'm going to put on here also relationships. A lot of relationships, you go through it when your finances aren't being managed well. Romans 13:8, it says, owe nothing to anyone except for your obligation to love one another. So God doesn't want us to owe. He doesn't want us to, he doesn't want us to be the one to have the debt. He wants us to be the lender and not the borrower at all. Not at all. Proverbs 22:7, the borrower is a slave to the lender. God desires us to live free, not burdened by financial slavery. Becoming debt-free is a path to greater peace and generosity. Yes, absolutely. Two methods to pay off debt. So they have two that are listed here, the snowball and then the avalanche. So the snowball effect is where you pay off your debts from the smallest to the largest balances, regardless of your interest rates. So if you have a credit card for 10,000, one for 1,000, one for 500, in the snowball effect, what you're doing is paying that $500 one off first. So you keep making your minimum payments if you can with the other ones, but pay the $500 off first. That's done. Then you move on to that $1,000 one, pay that one off. Then you move on to the $10,000 one. And the goal is to gain momentum and emotional wins as you check off each debt. Same with your to-do list. When you get something done, it's like, oh, yes. For me, I like to throw it away. Be like, I don't need this paper no more. I'm done. The avalanche is where you pay bills off from the highest interest rate first, regardless of the balance. So again, in that example of 500, 1,000, and 10,000, if the 500 credit card is only 1%, you're not gonna worry about that. But if the $10,000 one is at 15%, the $1,000 one is at 25%. It's saying pay that 25% off first. Then you're going to pay that 15%, and then you're going to go down to that 1%. And the goal is to save more money long-term by minimizing the interest that you pay, because that interest will eat up. And when you make the payment, if you look at how it's broken down, your principal versus your interest, not much is going to your principal because your interest rate is so high. You're just continually to fatten the pockets of the lender and not getting the amount that you owe down, because the interest rate is higher. Here's another scenario with Deja, and she's looking like, so Deja's credit card debt. She owes $12,000 in credit card debt, and she shops to deal with her anxiety and depression, which worsens the situation. So she's putting a temporary fix, a Band-Aid on her anxiety and depression, and it's not going to help. Now she's going to have more anxiety and depression because she has to explain to her husband, as you can see in this picture, girl, what are you doing? She's like, I don't know. So you can choose either the snowball effect, where you pay your smallest balance, like we just talked about first, or the avalanche, where you pay the highest interest rate first. And then cut unnecessary subscriptions or eating out by $150 a month. That will really help, because then that money can go back. That extra money can go back towards the targeted debt to get that $12,000 off. Also, you can create a reward system for each paid off debt that's non-financial. So each paid off debt, guess what? I'll do a spa day at home. And my kids love playing with nail polish and stuff. They're like, Mama, let me do your nails. I'm like, ooh, oh my God. But hey, I'm trying to save money. So come on, do my nails. Let's do a spa day at home. I done paid something off. Also, replace shopping habits with journaling, walking, or counseling. Call me, girl. Let's talk, Deja. Why you doing this? What's going on in your life? Let's get some coaching sessions done, right? And support emotional wellness. So this particular scenario, when we look at the wellness wheel, it's impacted her emotionally, because guess what? It breaks the shame cycle with support. Spiritually, seeks help with a renewed mind. Financially, strategic and discipline. And then social, accountability. It builds trust. All right, so let's continue to prepare for the future. So 2025 forecast. So you all already know that there are rising prices, inflation, right? These tariffs, it's real. There are job shifts. You know, that good government job is not that good option anymore, right? People are looking at it a little different with what's going on. Also, there's a growing need for multiple income streams. So not just your 9 to 5, you may need to do a side gig, or what people say hustle, quote unquote. So things are looking differently. Your financial tools that you need to have. So you definitely need to have an emergency fund. And typically that is 3 to 6 months of your expenses. How do you figure that out? So you say, all right, Alicia, going back to what are my needs? I have to pay my rent. I have to pay for my food. You pay for your car note. You have your utilities. Those are mandatory bills. So then you just say that times 1 month times 6. And that tells you how much you need to have right now in reserve, in order, if an emergency came up today or tomorrow, to be able to live. Also having investments and being diverse, right? Diversification, meaning that you have multiple things where maybe if my Roth IRA, the interest is not doing too good, maybe my stocks are going to help and it'll balance it out, as well as your mutual funds. Having insurance, so life insurance, health insurance, renter's insurance, home insurance, all those things you need, because if you don't have it, you're going to pay more. In the long run, you're going to pay more if you don't have the insurance. And you already have to keep the emergency fund going. So where is it going to come from? So you need to have the insurance in order to protect you. Also, passive income, maybe developing courses. Maybe you're really good at teaching people how to knit or sew. Maybe you're really good at interviewing. You could put together a course for that or an ebook for that. Maybe you have a rental. Maybe you've inherited it, or you've married someone and you all both have two houses, but you're only living in one. Rent it out. That's a way to have passive income as well. Or put your money together with a friend or a group. Be very careful with that. Make sure your contracts are in place. But pool it together and maybe do an Airbnb. That's a way to have passive income. Entrepreneurship, turning your talents into income, that can help. Ecclesiastes 11:2, it says, invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8, you do not know what disaster may come. So basically thinking outside the box, being ready, having a plan Z, it will not hurt. All right, so Monique, she starts a side business. You see her, she's so happy. She's holding her plant, y'all. She's like, cheese. So she's a full-time graphic designer and she starts selling downloadable birthday invitations and she earns $300 a month passively. So that is above and beyond what she makes as a graphic designer, $300 extra dollars. So what are her action steps? So she lists her 3 hobbies and her talents that she can monetize. Well, what am I good at? Write it down. She then sets up an online store. She uses Canva, Etsy, Spotify. All those things can help you to set up your online store. You don't have to go pay thousands of dollars and get someone to build it and all that for you. Know you can start simple. And even above and beyond that, if you're like, I'm not ready for online store, that's fine. Go word of mouth. They can send you Cash App. They can Zelle you, right? But you have to be able to track your purchases. Then you want to learn basic marketing. So you can learn that from YouTube. You can learn that from Hillman Top University. There are all kinds of free classes out there, master classes and things that you can learn from. Use wisdom, because just because they say they're a guru and this is what it does, doesn't mean it does. Use your common sense, have discernment. And you want to save your profits to fund other goals. So that 300 that she has, if she's smart, she won't touch it. She'll just put it in the bank for savings for something that she wants to do or aspire to do, or to build out her business even bigger, and to build an emergency fund with her side income. So she's tapping into the wellness wheel with her occupational by building purpose-driven income, financially by growing income streams, intellectually by her skill development, and spiritually using gifts for God's glory. So as we wrap up today, I'm going to give you some action steps, an action plan. So I would like for you, I'm challenging you to create or update a monthly budget. You don't have to be real fancy. You can write it in a notebook to start, scratch out what you need to scratch out and perfect it. You could even, if you're saying, no, I like to type, write things in my phone, you can do that as well. Get an Excel spreadsheet going. You want to track your spending for 7 days. Start with 7 days. Start just 7 days. Where's my money going? Because as you're swiping, sometimes it's just magically just disappearing. Where is it going? You want to choose one debt to pay off strategy. So pick one of the bills and say, you know what? I'm going to pay this bill off within the next 3 months. That's my goal. And then you try to figure out, how can I do that? Right? Create a savings goal for this year. This year's almost up, but create it. You can start now. And write a financial prayer to keep God at the center. Keeping God at the center. And you want to say this prayer fervently, right? And use it as your affirmation. Use it as your mantra and say it. And God will truly help you. And he will show you in your life ways that you can expand on your savings and where you can find money, because there's always money to find. Like an accountant will tell you, we're going to find the money, right? Find the money because you can do it. Philippians 4:19, it says, and my God will meet all your needs according to riches of his glory in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. So this, again, it aligns with the wellness wheel. That's why we're talking about it. Remember, at I See My Baby, we don't just care about financial facts. We support women and children holistically. This workshop aligns with your wellness wheel. We're going to keep bringing it back to it. That emotional part, again, it reduces that money-related stress, that spiritual part, how it encourages your stewardship and your trust in God. Financially, it helps you to be responsible and to build those great habits and have freedom, have a peace of mind. Occupationally, it supports your business goals, your work-life balance. If you're saying to yourself, I don't want to work this particular job anymore, I want to do something different. Well, how do you shift and change it? You don't abruptly just quit. You got to have a plan in place. Also, socially, it improves your relationships through honest conversations. Physically, it helps you to build budgeting for your food, for your health, for your care. Self-care, okay? And also learning, your intellectual, it encourages learning and your growing financial literacy. And today, for being a part of this, listening to this course and wanting to learn more, I am providing a 30-minute coaching session for free. You can utilize this QR code. Let's talk through it. Let's talk about it. Let's get you started. So you can take a screenshot here, or you can DM me if you're like, Alicia, I didn't get it. DM me, and we can get you on the calendar to schedule your free 30-minute coaching session with yours truly. Again, remember, you are not alone, and this includes your finances. We stand beside you through the toughest challenges, right? We don't just say, here's the fish you can eat for a day. No, we say, let me show you how to fish so you can eat every day, and you don't need us, right? At the end of the day, you're like, I got this. I got this. Thank you for the tools. I'm going to carry on in life. So here's our information again. We're here at the Women's Wellness Center Monday through Friday. We are also available virtually. Again, our website is iseemybaby.org. Give us a shout. We are here to support you. You guys take care. Love you.